it's not.
All right, and
like the scripture.
right. But the principle I'm saying is that when we exalt our rules or our doctrines above the Bible, yeah, that's what the rabbis did. They exalted their things above the word.
Some AMEs that will do that.
I know you don't.
You can fall into sin without knowing before you actually do it. I believe you can. I mean, God gonna.
That's right. We're gonna read it.
Show you though, basically after you've done it. But I still believe you can, you can do it and not really know that it's sin before you've done it.
I got you.
You understand? Because see, things like adultery, lying, and maybe lying is kind of thin because sometimes it's like if I don't tell you the whole story, I told you the truth, but I didn't tell you everything. You see what I'm saying? But I may put it on, you didn't ask me. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't tell you that part because you didn't ask me. But
you were telling, but you were aware.
I didn't lie though. If I done something and
fix it up now, fix it up.
Well, I don't know.
She right.
I could have been, doing something. What I'm saying, if I'm gonna lay out with a man, yeah, I know that's wrong.
Yeah.
But if I just went over to his house, we didn't sleep together. But I might undress. I might be. But you didn't ask me all that. So I told you
All of her great days.
I didn't tell you, that I'll sit there and lust at it. But
you're presenting the half truth because you know that you did wrong.
No,
yes, you did.
I'm not
I'm not because you don't want me to have to come back.
Well, let me go back.
I'm not telling you about the adultery part. I'm trying to tell you about just saying telling a lie. If you said fuzz, were you over to Robert's house? I said yeah. I didn't lie to you because I told you I was over there. You didn't go on to say, well, what was you doing or what were you thinking about prior to you there? See, and I just didn't tell that part.
Because you didn't want me to know. You weren't hiding it.
I wasn't hiding it, but
You didn't ask her.
You didn't
I
ask
shouldn't have to ask you.
Yes.
The Bible says
if you were trying to get me to tell you,
If you don't have to be perfect, I ain't gonna tell you.
All right, let's just take. Let me give you an example.
you're hiding the truth.
Okay.
You're hiding. You don't.
Was she hiding the truth? Because what if in her heart she wasn't hiding anything,
right?
But she innocently just didn't say it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What if? Yeah. Because I'm making an example. Because just say here's a young girl just getting saved. She don't know nothing about Bible. She ain't been around nothing. She don't know a thing.
So she just appeared out of nowhere. You cannot grow up without some form of knowledge of Yahweh. And if I'm created in His image, He has the priority.
Well, let me just say from witnessing from I hear what you're saying. From witness, because it's easy for you to say that because you raised up and you've been in it for years. But hold up. Listen. From witnessing to people on the streets that I've run into it in all these 30-something years, I have run into some people who say, my family didn't go to church, I don't go to church, I can't stay in church, I don't know nothing about none of that.
I'm raised by wolves.
And not only that, why would he need fishers of men if men already knew?
Yeah.
Why would he need us to go out and to give the good word if everybody knew the good word?
Because all different kind of fish out there.
And
going all different kind of ways.
All kind of
All
ways.
different kind
Up,
of fish.
down,
All
in
different
between
kind of
streams.
we are to fish to bring them in and then teach them. We wouldn't teach them. We couldn't teach them if they already knew.
Right.
Let me run right there back to here. We know where everywhere.
Yeah. going back, y'all showed me a lot of things. Going back to the food, when people say they eat and really didn't know. Okay, example of what he gave me to give somebody next time they say that. I can go out and I can pick turnip greens and I can pick collard greens and I can eat them spinach and I can eat them right there raw. Right? We can eat it raw. Alright? Go eat some poke salad raw.
You die.
And you'll die. Okay? Why do they devein shrimp?
Because it's filthy.
Okay? So then you look at our bodies, and he's saying, I'm going to give you these things to eat. And then in another verse, he said, you perish for a lack of knowledge. Well, if I eat pork and a lot of things that are unhealthy, my body is actually dying. Mm-hmm. High blood pressure, diabetes,
that's right.
All
that's
of that
right.
stuff. Now, did he say, I'm going to give you grace and allow you to live, and I'm going to wipe all this stuff away? When you knowingly eating this food, you go to the doctor, and he said, listen, you got to change your diet. Yes, sir. We go right back out to the family reunion. I eat a half slab of ribs. Okay. I go right back to the doctor with high blood pressure and everything and say, oh, Lord, I think I'm going to have a stroke. Okay. Something is not clicking there. Even if you've never opened the book, you know why you're unhealthy. But yet you continue to eat. But if you look at the book, you know, hey, I gave you this food. It's not rocket science. I didn't give you. It's not a lot of things you have to understand. I gave you a list of foods to eat to make sure that you live a long and prosperous life. You choose not to eat that stuff, that food, and you shorten your days. I'm telling you in the word, you're going to shorten your days by not obeying me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hear you.
No.
And then when we go to the scripture, I see that now listen to what we just saying. The way we have been taught, we look at all of it as food. Certain things, the unclean things were never given to us as food. The Bible doesn't even call it food. It calls it that unclean thing. He tells us what is food. So when we try to lump everything in it as food, for lack of knowledge, we perish. All right? Now, I'm going to go somewhere with that. Because, see, I'm telling you, there are cultures that have never seen anything. And part of the pagan religion that they operate in is to eat or do certain things that are deadly. When they come into the knowledge of the Most High and find out that I'm not supposed to even worship or bow down or have this thing nowhere near me, now truth is in. If they go back to that, you understand what I'm saying? Let's get this. We got it. Numbers 15. Then we're gonna just get.
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I didn't see right.
Please. I know what you want to say, please.
Okay, what about this dream that Peter had with the sheep with all this stuff on it? And they were talking about what was unclean. And it said everything God made was good.
Good.
And it wasn't about that. It's not, I don't think it's too much about what you eat, it's how much of it you eat.
Well, let me kind of know that chapter 10 of Acts. If we read the whole chapter, it had nothing to do with food. The dream was representative of it, because what had happened was there was a rabbinic law that forbid. Now, Yahweh did never tell the Jews not to associate with any Gentiles, because Gentiles accepted him and came out of Egypt with the Jews, Israel. The rabbis, that Talmudic law, that the traditions says that it is unclean for you to mess with a Gentile. They're not even supposed to come into your house. So remember now, Cornelius was one of the first converts to come in. According to the rabbis, he was unclean and he wasn't supposed to go there. So Yah gives Peter this dream to let him know, because he's the one that's got to go there and convert him. Don't you dare say they're unclean, because what I made. So the dream was representative of Jews and Gentiles and not necessarily food, because before the dream, it talked about Jews and Gentiles, and after it talked about Jews and Gentiles. But through religion, we have made that, saying that we can eat those because he matter of fact, think about this. when we have dreams, what do a lot of times we either ask for in the dream? We ask for what? Interpretation of the dream. Every dream that you have, 90% of the dreams that you have can be about yourself or representative of something else. So when we go to the scriptures, that's the other thing, when they divide the Bible into two halves. He says in Malachi, I don't change. He says in Psalm, my word is forever settled. So the word is forever settled, and he said, even in Revelation and in the Torah, he said, don't add or take away. Right. So if he told us don't eat it, and then for him to say it's okay for you to eat it, means he can't be God, because he is just going against his own word. Right. So it has to remain, what's in the old and the new, as we call it, they have to match. Because if we go back, there was no New Testament during the time that Yeshua and the disciples walked. The New Testament is a commentary explaining how to obey Genesis through Malachi. Right. And so what happens now, because of these traditions that Jesus was actually accused of doing, right, he shows them a dream. He says, now, remind you, the Gentiles are getting ready to come into this faith. Okay? Those that the rabbis have called unclean, and the word Gentile means those of the what? Nations. They were not part of Israel. So he gives this dream based upon what has been taught by these rabbis to show you that they can come to me. So, because see, first of all, for Peter or even Paul to eat anything unclean, they would have broken the Torah. They would have broken it. And all of them kept it. They kept it. Matter of fact, Paul in Romans 3 and 31, the end of 31, he said, do we abolish this? No, we establish this. In other words, it has to be established. So that dream was an interpretation of Gentiles and Jews, but we have used it to mean food. If we say it's food, then it will be inconsistent with everything from Deuteronomy all the way through.
My problem with that is the part that says slate and eat.
The dream representative. Let's do this, then we're going to go back to that verse.
If you are not person that really knows the Bible, then that's confusing. Well, and I don't think God intended to confuse us.
Watch this. And Peter,
and a whole lot of folks don't know it. You don't have very many folks do know it.
They don't. And in Peter,
because if they don't teach it, how would you know it?
We perish for a lack of knowledge. Study to show yourself approved. And most people don't study. They tell the preacher to tell them.
But then even when you study, the scripture not only says study to show yourself approved, the workman unto God, rightly divide the word of truth. If it's not revealed to you by God, there's no way for you to know it.
All right. Now that's why he sends teachers.
That's what I'm saying. And if you don't ever get to that teacher, then you're going to be like... Well,
we're going to go back to...
He's not going to leave you.
We're going to go back to Romans 15 on that one. Numbers 15 on that one. Now, he's going to bring it somewhere, some way. I got you. Now, let's... In dealing with that, Peter, Paul's buddy, tells them in 2 Peter 3 and 15, he tells them, Paul's writings are hard to understand. Now, if he told them in that day they were hard to understand, picture us today trying to understand it. And he says that many misunderstand them and actually use it to their destruction because they don't. This is why we had to go back to the original language to find out when you wrote that, what did you mean? Because think about this, from the original language from Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English. If I told Sonia, whisper something in Sonia's ear and told her to whisper it, I told her blue cat, by the time it got to it's a pink elephant. So picture how much we've lost from Hebrew all the way to English. So that's why we have to go back to, all right, if these writers were Hebrew, then I can't trust the accuracy of a Greek